Apologies about that. So yeah, so looking at those challenges and solutions, it's a real fundamental part of what you're going to be doing. Equally, looking at the benefits for mentoring, so it's a powerful tool. It helps build confidence. It allows improvement skills. So it's all those fundamental skills around problem solving, critical thinking, time management. So mentoring can bring along all of those skills, the personal learning thinking skills, in which we assume everybody has, which you tend to find they don't, because unless somebody has taught them, they haven't learned them. And that's not to kind of be degrading in any way, but personal learning thinking skills, critical thinking, problem solving, it's a skill set in its own right. So it's your responsibilities as a mentor to kind of develop those skills as we come along. So in conclusion, monitoring is a valuable tool in supporting the development of the progression of individuals within legal and ethical frameworks. By planning, conducting, recording mentoring activities, mentors can help their mentors achieve their goals and achieve their full potential. So through this presentation, we've discussed the definition and the purpose of mentoring, the benefits for both to the mentoree and the mentor, and the importance of working with legal and ethical frameworks. We've also explored how to plan, collect, record the activities, as well as the skills needed for effective managing. So defining mentoring, then, mentoring is a professional relationship in which an experienced person, the mentor, provides guidance and supports a less experienced person, the mentoree. They help them develop their skills, achieve their goals, and the purpose of mentoring is to facilitate the mentoree's personal and professional growth by sharing knowledge and expertise and experience. Mentorees can take place in many forms, including one-to-one. Thank you, Sam. Including one-to-one, group sessions, and yes, we know, and online feedback on specific tasks or projects. They share insights into industry trends and best practice, or simply offer the surrounding broads for ideas and concerns. By providing guidance and support, mentorees can help mentors build confidence, develop new skills, and develop full potential. Apologies for that. Benefits for the mentoree. Mentorees can provide numerous benefits for the mentoree, for the mentor, including career development, increased confidence, improved skills. Mentors can offer guidance on important topics such as networking, goal setting, navigating, all of those wider skills we've just talked about. In addition to career development, mentoring can also help improve mentorees' confidence, self-esteem through regular meetings with a mentor. This can provide positive feedback and encouragement, which can help them feel more confident in their abilities. Mentors can also offer constructive criticism and help mentorees identify areas for improvement, which can lead to personal growth. The benefits for the mentor isn't just about being a mentoree, but also about the mentor. By sharing those knowledge and experiences, mentors can gain personal and professional development, increase job satisfaction, and improved leadership skills. For example, when a mentor who takes a mentoree from a different department or background, and they can learn new perspectives and approaches to problem solving. This can lead to personal growth, broader understanding of the organisation as a whole, and additionally, mentoring can provide a sense of fulfilment. We've covered SMART objectives, we've covered action plans. So active listening is a crucial skill for any effective mentor. It involves fully concentrating on what the mentoree is saying, so being present in the time, not having those distractions, making sure phones are down, and making sure you've got time. Active listening involves speaking the words, thinking about your pace and tone, and your body language. You should avoid making assumptions, being judgmental, and jumping to conclusions. Try and ask open questions to push the mentoree to open up and explain more. And as you're listening, there's a great theorist called Egan and Solis theory to communication. And that's about sitting back, opening up, listening, leaning in, agreeing, and repeating what's being said. Learn the different types of questioning techniques. So there's lots of different questioning techniques, such as open questions. So tell me how you're feeling today, to extended questions. So tell me how you're feeling today. What made you feel like that? So pushing that question a bit more. Closed questions. I can see you're sad. Is that right? Close it down. Or filtered questions where you can just keep that conversation going and flowing. So think about how you can use those question techniques to push your mentoree and get more information from them. Equally, around those question techniques, I must say there's a great question technique for root cause analysis, which is the 7 whys. So if somebody's done something, you know, that's a really interesting thing you did that class. Why did you do that? Oh, I did that because. Okay, well, that's interesting. Why was that? Oh, because. Oh, why was that? So if you keep asking why 7 times, you get to root cause analysis. Providing feedback is an essential part of the monitoring process. And again, we've already spoken about this earlier. So just making sure that feedback is in a 360 approach, positive, negative, positive. Record it on both sides. So the mentoree should be recording and the mentor should be recording. And again, that self-reflection is crucial. And equally, through this process, both people should be able to identify concerns. And what I would expect from a mentoree by the end of the process, I would expect them to be able to identify problems. So as a mentor, I shouldn't need to be saying to them, look, this is a problem. I would expect my mentoree to come to me as a mentor and say, by the way, Steve, I've done this. I thought that was a problem. This is what I did instead. And then that shows the fact that this person is now well developed. And when you go through your nursing journey, you're obviously mentored quite a lot. In your last year, you do your leadership placement. And in my leadership placement, very much from word go, my mentor was like, don't come to me with any problems. You need to come to me with the solution for the problem, and I will then explain whether or not I agree or disagree with you. And I thought, well, that's a bit harsh because that's a barrier straight away. But I kind of understood it because ultimately, at some point, you have to let go and you have to put trust in your mentoree to be able to identify the problem and come up with a solution. If you're always solution focused, if you're always telling the mentoree, they're not able to develop that skill set themselves. So I think a really good feedback tip is, you know, that was a really interesting session. Before I give you my opinion or my thoughts, tell me, what are your thoughts? And I guarantee the mentoree will be more critical, hypercritical than what it is of you trying to tell them. Again, reporting concerns. So as a mentor, if you have concerns around your mentoree, know who you're going to report to, who's their line manager, what are you going to do about it? Does this become a performance-related issue? So if you've got somebody who's not achieving their milestones, if they're not progressing the way they should within the workplace, what tools are you going to have to manage that? So is it the fact that you extend something? Is it the fact that by missing that deadline, it has a business consequence? So just understanding your concern process there. And again, sharing of information from a mentor point of view, just knowing who you can obtain that through and then getting consent as well. Improving the mentoring activities. So one of the key ways to improve mentoring activities is by using that feedback. We spoke about it earlier. You know, once you've got that feedback, whether it's qualitative or quantitative, so whether you've used a survey or whether it's been a verbal dialogue and somebody's giving you advice and guidance or support, record it so it's seen that you're doing something with it, you know. And again, there comes a point within this mentor-mentoree relationship that I would expect the mentoree to be able to do this by themselves, because it shouldn't be the case that I'm guiding you through every step as a mentor. At some point, my role is to build you up, to empower you to do this yourself. Right, so that's the end of that. Normally there's a conclusion, but the slide just ended there. Let's go back now to the rest of the units and we can go through this. So duty 1 then looks at planning, plan, conduct and record monitoring activities and progression within legal frameworks. We need to establish those clear objectives, obtain informed consent, establish those boundaries, adhere to legal requirements, conduct regular mentoring sessions, create a safe and supportive place, tailor our activities to meet the individual needs. We need to document those processes. We need to monitor mentorees' progress. We need to implement safeguarding measures, and we need to reflect and improve. So K1 looks at the roles and responsibilities of a mentoree to understand the organisation's boundaries, legal and ethical requirements, including safeguarding. So we've already touched upon this. So it's really important you understand your roles and responsibilities, and that's your roles and responsibilities as a mentor. So your job description, your framework of working, and then how are you expected to provide advice and guidance, set goals, support keeping professional development, obtain feedback, encourage motivation, act as that role model, and build a trusted relationship. Number 2 looks at understanding organisational and professional boundaries. So here you must be able to explain what those boundaries are around confidentiality, information sharing, autonomy. So how much freedom have you got? What creativity do you have? And how much do you need to adhere to those policies and procedures regarding that mentoring relationship? The legal and ethical requirements looks at complying with those relevant laws, making sure that conflicts of interest are being adhered to, ensuring around your basic principles of discrimination and harassment, and those ethical conduct issues around honesty, integrity, and fairness. And then finally, principles around safeguarding, recognising those policies and procedures are important to them. K2 then looks at how to establish and manage monitoring contracts. So looking then at that relationship, defining those goals with those mentorees so they understand your roles and responsibilities. So we're kind of connecting relationships here. And it's really important that staff understand your roles and responsibilities. And I have to say, I find it very concerning. I've been to a couple of organisations where I've spoken to company trained trainers, and there is this complete disrespect to the company trainer. And I worry that that lack of respect shows a lack of understanding around the authority within the role or the responsibility within the role. At the end of the day, you are responsible for maintaining standards around safety, knowledge, and practice. If staff do not conduct themselves in a fit and proper way, how are you making decisions that they should be in a work environment? And I think it's important that staff should know that as a mentor, you are ultimately responsible for signing them off against competencies. It's your responsibility to ensure that they are meeting those professional standards. So if somebody is late, if somebody is rude, if somebody misses deadlines, there are consequences in the real world for that. So you need to establish that very early on in that relationship. And then normally written agreements where you have those terms and conditions. In training sessions, we call them working agreements or ground rules, but in a mentor-mentoree position, there needs to be consequences, because you cannot be in a position where you are supporting somebody and they keep missing a deadline. You've got your roles and responsibilities, and all that it says to me when somebody keeps missing a deadline is that they haven't learnt time management, and that's dangerous in certain situations. So defining those roles and responsibilities is key. Equally, we need to determine the level of communication and frequency. So how often are you going to meet up? What does that look like? So a lot of people then say, oh, I've not had any support from my mentor this week or this month. But they've had texts, they've had phone calls, they've had emails. Well, all of that is remote support. You know, teaching and learning isn't just spending one-to-one time with somebody, it's a combination. And the mentoree needs to understand that relationship, because, you know, we're not there to be their line manager. We're there to promote and support them. And the analogy here is that fishing rod, isn't it? You know, give a man a fish, you feed him for the day, but give him a fishing rod, you feed him for life. So they're the kind of roles and responsibilities that we're trying to create there. And then that moves into boundaries, because ultimately we're not there as your friend. When, you know, we have a responsibility to ensure you are trained to a certain point where we trust that you're able to meet the requirements. And that goes against our judgment if we sign you off as inappropriate. So we're not there as your friend, we're there as a mentoree to try and set the boundary and the standards of a professional relationship. And again, to assess and review that progress, if you maintain those professional relationships, it's far easier to then have those performance-related discussions. So if somebody's not achieving target, look, I'm really sorry, Steve, can I have a chat with you? This is the third time you've missed this target. This is the consequence for missing that target. It's very hard to do that if you've now blurred those lines. Again, a bit of flexibility is fine, but as long as it's been agreed with you, don't let them tell you, but have it negotiated, because that's a work skill. And then obviously regular reviews. We have touched on about how to plan for a mentoring session. And again, it's down to your organisation to have the paperwork. What we will do as your tutors, we can review that paperwork when we go through the assessment process, and we can have a look to see how you're planning. But a basic plan should have clear objectives, what it is you're going to do, the number of sessions, what you're hoping to achieve, the agenda, how you're going to track progress, the actions, the feedback, the documentation. We should be looking at that encouragement and evaluation of that. Mentoring theories and models. Well, there's many theories and models out there for you to look at. Within your endpoint assessment, you're going to need to be naming some of these. But mentoring theories and models provide frameworks and guidance on a structured way of working. Mentoring theories, so you've got social learning theory, self-determination theory, and psychosocial development theory. So have a look at those, go away, research them, and think which one best suits me. We then have mentoring models. So that's the traditional one-to-one, group mentoring, peer mentoring, or online or e-mentoring. So have a look at those. You may use one, two, or all, or a range. And then we've got good practice and protocols. So that's those clear expectations, that's those contracts and boundaries, active listening, good communication skills, respect those boundaries, feedback, cultural sensitivities, and then regular reviews. K5 looks at organisational legal requirements for recording and storing and sharing of personal information. So again, just knowing your roles and responsibilities around this. So making sure you're working in line with the GDPR rules. You understand the purpose of the limitations. You're only holding evidence for as long as you need to hold it for. That you've obtained consent. So if you're making assessment decisions, get consent to hold that information and to pass that information on. Data minimization, so holding data for how long you're handling the data for, the accuracy, how you're going to store it, so making sure that you've got the right protections there. How long you're holding it for, third party, individual rights, data breach notices, so that's the ICO, the Information Commissioner Office there, and the staff training and awareness. So 1 point, K16 looks at evidence-based practices to inform your own research. So part of your role is to be an independent inquirer, to conduct your own research, and I would expect you on this program to be good at research, because ultimately, if you are going to mentor and lead people, you definitely should be able to identify best practice and research that. So again, here, we've got our study skills, there are research skills. You can go to Open University and do some open learn research tasks. But if we look at our research, we're looking at you identifying relevant topics, being able to conduct a literature review, So if you're saying something to somebody, it needs to be evidence-based. It needs to have some kind of evidence behind it. I don't want you to be a mentor that just is because I said so. If you say something, know why you're saying it. If you point to a source of evidence, know why you're pointing to a source of evidence. And if you don't know, then be honest with that person. Say, look, I don't know, but what I want you to do is go away, find it, and come back and tell me. Because ultimately, you don't have to be this guru of all knowledge. But what we do need to be sure of is that if a mentoree is doing something, it is the best possible evidence at the time, because that's what will keep you out of trouble. Collect data and surveys, again, so doing your own data and survey analysis, great. You want to prove your outcomes. So if you are a mentor, a learning skills mentor in a workplace for the first time, start gathering data. Look at your key performance indicators or your key business indicators. Look at what it is you are doing as the mentor, and then see whether your mentoring program alters the business outcomes. Because ultimately, for example, if we were looking to improve sales in a business, maybe we would do a mentoring program about communication, selling, or upselling, should I say, or link selling. You do the mentoring program. So before the program, sales were £100. You do the program, but after the program, sales go up to £200-300. Then you can obviously confirm that your mentoring program has improved or increased sales by 100%. Or 200%, and therefore it has value. So not only does it have value to the staff, it has a commercial value as well. Again, if you looked at what would that cost if you used an external provider, so that's the kind of research we should be looking at there. Again, just collaborate and look at how you could use that feedback within your fields. So the skills that we need to observe for this is obviously you filling in that paperwork. So how you establish and maintain contact with your mentorees. So there should be some kind of individual lesson plan or individual mentoree log. In the nursing portfolios that we had as students, we had a mentoring log, and every time we sat down with a mentor, we had to put the date, the time, and what we covered. We had to define those roles and responsibilities. And again, as it is in the skills, we just need to make sure that you're able to fill those forms in. So making sure that we've got, that you're able to deal with confidentiality, privacy, set boundaries, set those targets, include timelines, document the contact, review regularly, engage with stakeholders and other people. So you may want feedback from staff, managers to help you formulate your judgments. Engage with other stakeholders, address conflicts and challenges, collaborate on achievement and professionalism and respect. So in your endpoint assessment, they will want to see the beginning, the middle, and the end. So this is all the beginning. So the beginning is, how are you sitting down with your mentoree? So have you got a checklist, an induction checklist? Hi, mentoree, my name's Steve. Can we just run through a few things? What's your learning styles? What's your level of English, maths, and IT skills? What is it you want from this program? Let's set some goals. Let's set those boundaries. Let's set all of these terms and conditions. Great. Once that's set, we now have something that we can go back to in review and track progress. So that's the planning stage. Then we're going to conduct the mentoring session. So that mentoring session will then align to the plans. So let's say, for example, goal 1 was to ensure good infection control procedures. So through a shift, if you're working with me, so let's say you've been budgeted up with me, so through a shift, I'm going to want to see good hand washing, good PPE, good explanations to staff, good cleaning and decontamination. So they're the skills in which I'm going to observe. And then throughout the day, I'm going to do some knowledge. Now, if you use this process that I'm going to tell you, you can't go wrong. So if I'm with a student, if I'm with a mentoree, I simply say, what I want to see is what you're doing, and then I want to know why you're doing it. So tell me what you're doing, tell me why you're doing it. So, okay, Steve, I'm going to wash my hands before I talk with this patient because of cross-infection. I'm going to wash my hands for 20 seconds. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in between my fingers because that's the place where it's normally missed. When I do the knuckle shuffle, it's to wash the bacteria off the nails. And that roughly takes 20 seconds. When I dry my hands, I use a single piece of paper. I pat them and take the most of it off, and then I dispose. So they can explain the steps and explain why. And that really, as a mentor, is what you want. So as you're working with me, that's what we're going to have. If that's a practical session, so we're just going to work together. Or it may be the fact that you're going to deliver that session. So, okay, fine. In this session, I'm going to teach you how to do something. So I'm going to deliver you some knowledge. I'm going to deliver you the skill, and then you're going to do that maybe at a later date or a role play. So your plan is an agreement to whatever it is on the individual learning plan. It's informal or formal kinds of learning. It's entirely up to you. It may be that, you know, today we're going to sit and discuss infection control. Okay, Steve, thanks very much. Last week I watched you do this session. I thought the way that you handled it was great. I saw you washing your hands. I saw you putting on your apron. I saw you decontaminating cleaning. What I want to ask you is, well, how would you deal with an outbreak? What is an outbreak? What would you do in those situations? And just that conversation flowing. So like a professional discussion. And honestly, you're going to get loads of knowledge from somebody because they know it. They do know it because they do it all the time. They will tell you. Think about those open lines of communication. Think about getting that feedback from them, and then again, celebrate their achievements. So really recognizing, you know, what they've done well at. So constantly achieving that. Set your action plan and obviously document that progress. Now that documentation progress will really depend on a couple of things. Do you have an induction booklet that you're signing off? That may be how you're tracking progress. You may have a skills for care book. So maybe you're doing the care certificate and you're signing that off as progress. Or maybe you're doing an NVQ or a QCF qualification and then you're signing that off. Remember, the documentation that you're signing off will have its own rigor and quality assurance around it. So if you are doing just your in-house inductions, follow your own policies and procedures. If you are doing something like the care certificate, make sure you follow their guidelines for collecting evidence and recording evidence, because it becomes a bit more rigorous. And then as you move right up to the qualification side of things, it becomes even more rigorous. So just be mindful that you're aware of the documentation, how you achieve that documentation. And then obviously, before the person leaves you, we're going to address those next steps. So we want to see you saying to somebody, thanks very much for today. Just to recap, this is what we've done. This is what we're going to do next. We're going to need to see you implementing monitoring tools and techniques to help the mentoree work towards their outcomes. And when we do this, that's about how you're pulling the information from them and making them responsible for what they already know. And here we're going to be looking at how you're setting those goals and action plans. So that may be a template in your pad. You may do a SWOT analysis with them. So just get a bit of paper, draw the cross and say to them, right, tell me everything you're good at. Tell me those areas of your development. And that'll give you an idea of where to build up on. What opportunities do you have right now? So can we build that into your plan? And what are your threats? What's stopping you achieving all of this? Because they're your barriers that we can try and maybe overcome. We might want to look at feedback and reflection. So using that feedback sandwich, we might do a mind map, or as I call it, a mind dump. You just pop everything down on a bit of paper and work your way around it. We can do role play simulation. We can do journaling self-assessments. And again, lots of other things there to think about. But it's down to you to establish those different techniques. There's no one hat that fits all. Obviously, maintaining those records and storing them, complying with confidentiality, is a company decision. So it may be the case that you're keeping everything electronic. You may have e-portfolios, you may have online VLEs, you might have e-portfolios, or again, you may just have a paper-based workbook. The only downside to that nursing, like the workbooks, the paper ones, is they get damaged, they get lost, and then it's another piece of paper that you've got to scan up and use somewhere. Where if you're doing everything e-version, so either online, it's easy to track, it's easy to audit, it's easy to quality assure. So just think about that. And again, most of the online systems now, when you set those plans, you've got the dates, the times, and all of that as well to go alongside it. Looking at the behaviors, so I would expect to see this all the time, not just because we're going to be observing you do something, but we should be seeing this all the time. You should be able to demonstrate and promote the sustainable practice with the mentorees. So you should be leading by example, discussing concepts, sharing best practice, being ethical, supporting career paths. So that's IAG, information, advice and guidance. You know, you can be looking at green initiatives, so saving the environmental plan. Do you really need to print that out? Can we do it all online? You should be promoting that work-life balance. I don't want you to stress about this. Let's find that middle ground. So lots of things around there to think about, just you as a practitioner. Equally as a practitioner, you should always be demonstrating ethical and legal standards and those professional boundaries. So making sure that you're working together on those particular things, you're pushing autonomy, you're pushing independence, you've got those clear boundaries, you're not forming relationships, you're mindful about your personal data, you're looking at those power imbalances, so you're not making people feel vulnerable, and then your legal and ethical requirements. Be resilient and adaptable. So as a mentor, absolutely, you are a role model. You are meant to be able to adapt. You're meant to, you're the shining example of best practice. We want everyone to be like you. That's why you've been appointed as the learning skills mentor. So you staying up to date in your professional practice, you seeking supervision, you being mindful, you learning skills to manage resilience, you setting realistic expectations, you remaining flexible is really important as well. You need to demonstrate that multiple respect for displaying a deep understanding of equality and diversity and inclusion. So again, that inclusion piece is around cultural, age, economic, demographic backgrounds. It's also around neurodivergence. It's also around learning styles and ability. So just being mindful that if you see somebody struggling, we're not going to belittle them, but we're going to empower them. And kind of just promoting that as you go through is absolutely key as a learning skills mentor. I've given you a recommended reading list there, so by all means have a look at those. What's more important are these. So these I would expect you to learn. So after this session, listen, bit of homework. I want you to go on and I want you to really understand these theories and frameworks, because these theories and frameworks are what you're going to use throughout the next 12 months. So we're giving them to you up front. You've got the GROW model that looks at that coaching framework. You've got Caleb's learning cycle. That's about understanding how people learn. You've got Gibbs. That's a reflective cycle. So you understand how people reflect and think and analyze. You've got Bloom's. Bloom's looks at a framework for the language in which we use and the cognitive ability there. SMART, obviously setting goals. So this is what we want you to know by the end of this course, but you should be starting to understand it now moving forward. So let's look at your first task. Now, your first task, and I'm going to go to student view on this so you can see what it looks like from your point. Interesting. Mm, 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 mm. There we go. So, what will happen is you will hit start assignment. You can then put your typing in there. So you can type your answer in here. You can see it's 100 points. We grade kind of, just to give you an idea of how you're getting towards the end point assessment. It's not a pass or fail as such. If you haven't met the outcomes, I'll tell you why. We just push you forward. And feedback is always developmental. So at this point, we want you to be able to demonstrate that you can meet the skills, knowledge, and behaviours in duty 1. So the purpose of the assessment is to evaluate the mentoree's understanding of the roles and responsibilities, K1, their ability to work within, including confidentiality and safeguarding frameworks, their capability of maintaining professional boundaries, the assessment or the examinee and the mentoree's knowledge of mentoring theories, K4 and 16, as well as the approaches to mentoring techniques to support mentors' progression, and the mentoree will required to demonstrate practices for the skills and working with ethical and legal standards. Additionally, the mentoree reflects on the mentor experience and showcases resilience, adaptability when challenging and changing. So here's the scenario. You are a mentor assigned to support a mentoree. Sarah. You don't have to use the word name Sarah. Feel free to personalize this if you want. Who is entering the care workforce. She's facing challenges in adapting to the new work environment to maintain work-life balance. Task. Outline your roles and responsibilities as a mentor supporting her. How would you ensure you adhere to ethical and legal requirements in monitoring her? That will cover K1 and behaviour 2. So they're your knowledge and skills that we've just covered. The skill, develop a mentoring contract with Sarah. So put together your first contract. Plan for the first mentoring session. Identify specific topics and goals to address her challenges. How will you review these and revise these? So what does the action plan look like? So put together your action plan. Apply relevant mentoring theories and models. So we've just spoken about those. So that'll be Bloom's, that could be Caleb's, that could be Gibbs, that could be your SMART targets, right? Explain those theories and models there. Support information and support mentoring tools and techniques during the mentoring session to help Sarah work towards her goals, and how you would adjust your approach based on the needs of the progress. Describe how you would maintain those records, how you would promote the relationships with Sarah. For example, how would you incorporate your mentoring approach? Determine how you would meet those ethical legal requirements and reflect upon your experience. The assessments based on this mentoring demonstrates and understand the application of roles and responsibilities. So basically, we want you to do this, and it's entirely up to you how you do it. Now, when you start the assignment, you can tap away there. If you want to add in documents, so let's say you've got a contract that you want to add in. Let's say you've got the plan that you want to add in. All you're going to do is add a hyperlink. So save them, so do an external link and save them to your Google Drive or whatever. So that's how you can just attach there. Or alternatively, you could just take a screenshot and attach it as a picture. So if it's easier, you could just upload an image. So the contract, you could just take a picture of the contract. And if you've done a plan, you can just take a picture of the plan. So that's how you can add those in. So pop your answers in there. And the best way to do that is this. So we're going to pop that in there. We're going to do that. So outline roles and responsibilities in mentoring Sarah. So here, and this is just an example. So don't do this. I just want to show you how you can put it together. If so, we can use right, so I've got my first answer there. And again, you will be typing this out properly. You'll be doing your coursework correctly. So we can use that as the first header. Then we're going to go down and we look at then part 2, develop a contract. So here, so let's just say we're going to develop a contract. Yeah, you can see there, it's giving you an idea of the things that you could put in the contract. But actually, I'm going to develop this as a form. So what I actually want is this as a form. Right, and then I'm going to take that contract there just to show you how to do this. So there's my contract there. I'm going to go to a Word document. Word is very slow on my computer for some reason. File. Right. So then what I'm going to do is that. So there's the contract. Now, if you want to insert, so I've done this just to show you how you can insert something there. So we've got a text in 1. We've answered question 2. Now here, we've got our contract, okay? So we can minimize that. And there's 2 things we can do here. We can either save the document or screenshot the document. So on your keyboard, just above the keypad buttons on the right hand side, you'll see a button called print screen. If you push print screen, it will bring up your cut and paste tool, your cut tool, your snippet tool. You can snip it and then you can just pop that straight in, Control and V. So you can see there, I've now got the contract in there. So it's dead easy to do. You can pop your text in there. You can then create your documents. You can see the screenshot that I've done, because there's me on the screenshot. You can put that in there and then plan for the first mentoring session. So if we look at the first session, so plan for the first session. So again, if we do a plan for the first session, so it was healthcare. So care certificate. So let's create another form, because that's what it wants us to do. It wants us to see that plan. Great, so there's the plan. So we can put that in there. And again, we can go to print screen. We can do that, or we can file, save as plan. Option. Desktop, save, and then here. You can, what we need to do, we need to put that plan share. You'll get a share link, or if you save it in your Google Drive or your Dropbox, wherever you copy link. There we go. So here, if you want to just share that link, you can do that. So then that's there, or you can go to here at this external link. And if you want to make the link look prettier, you can put here, oh, so external link, let me link options there. So we're going to write first. There we go. So then we've got the first plan. So when I go in and mark, I've either got a screenshot of what you've done, or if you've done it as a hyperlink, I can then click on there as the tutor, and when I mark your work, it will take me to your link. So it's entirely up to you how you do it. But I just wanted to show how you can structure this together. So it's quite easy to go in and answer these questions. You're literally going to take a copy and paste the task, 9 tasks, copy that, drop that in there, and just work your way through. And then obviously you need to make sure that you've got it all done though in one go. Or alternatively, you could do it all in a Word document. You know, it's entirely up to you. I've got no, there's no particular ways. I just need to see that you've done it. And then once you're done, you'll submit that assignment. Once you've submitted the assignment, it will say submitted. You're going to get these little trophies and all of that. If I refer it back to you, you can do a new attempt. So you can go back and do it again. And then I will obviously leave you feedback. And then from my side, what then happens is, you can see here, I've now got something to grade. So I will then mark that, and then you will see your feedback there. So hopefully that all makes sense. I haven't just confused you, I'm hoping. And yeah, if you need anything else, let me know. But I will see you next week for duty 2. We'll pick that up from there. If you could try and get this done within this week, that would be great. And then any problems, let me know. So take care, bye for now, and good luck.